Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is the opening episode of the Aerosmith Podcast. Get your wings. My name is Rob Barcelona. I will be the host for this whole thing that I don't know essentially if anyone is asking for except for me. But I love Aerosmith. I adore them. They are easily my favorite rock band of all time, my favorite group of all time. On this show, we're going to cover their entire history. At this point, it really spans 55 years if you go back to 1970 when the band formed. Of course, you can take in the history leading up to that, and there's even more years involved. There were members, obviously, in other bands, together in other bands in some cases. Obviously, I don't want to spoil too much of our content here on this intro episode. This is kind of just here to give you a basis of what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to cover it all. The ups, the downs, the critical masterpieces, and the albums that maybe missed the mark. This band has done a lot of things over the years. They've evolved their sound quite a few times. They've broken boundaries quite a few times, honestly, managed to stay relevant. I think in a good way, more than some other bands have. Other bands, sometimes they try to stay relevant and it comes off maybe a little tone deaf, or they fail at staying relevant altogether. I think Aerosmith did a real good job of evolving while staying true to their roots as well. We're going to cover the band members individually, what they've done maybe outside of Aerosmith, some, secondary projects or endeavors that some of these other members may have taken. We'll do lists. Maybe that I make up. We'll do lists that consist of things on the internet. Obviously, we'll cover the albums cover to cover, all of them, some way, shape, or form. I'm not really looking for the podcast to take any chronological type of direction. I think there's so much to speak about with this band. So many things change over time and also intertwine and are important to get to that I honestly think jumping around a little bit might give you as a listener a better conception of what this band means to pop culture, music, and general history than following an order. And we can always reference back to different things so we can connect them together. Hopefully, if there's a market out there for this and you guys are listening and loving it, we'll get to have interaction. I plan to have social media up for this. I do already have an Instagram called Get Your Wings that has been inactive. But as this show comes out, I would hope In Tandem is going to be active yet again. So please go follow that if you're excited about this content or you would like to see more or learn more about the band. I will hopefully include some special guests. We can have back and forth discussions and things of that nature. With a band like this, their imprint is far beyond just classic rock. They moved into the MTV era, obviously affecting a lot of popular music as well with the way they were able to do things. Not only that, they affected pop culture outside of music different ways, being revolutionary in terms of incorporation into theme parks, incorporation into video games. Again, not to spoil all the content, but this band has had their fingerprints on quite a few things. They are obviously the bad boys from Boston. They are one of America's top rock and roll bands. We'll talk about who they've influenced with their career, as well as who influenced them. They definitely are a band that wears their influences right on their sleeves. They did a lot of covers throughout their career, and they continue to do that in live performances, and they really do bring a certain energy to their covers. We can incorporate things like that into our shows as well. Like I said, listery, history, analyzation, impact, all of that I look to cover here. Speaking of which, we speak about the relevancy of the band. They recently, about a month ago, announced a collaborative EP, a 5-track EP with a younger artist named Youngblood. Many of you might know him at this point. He burst on kind of the American scene from what I know through my lens from the Back to the Beginning concert in Birmingham for Ozzy Osbourne. He covered Changes. Steven was there as well. Steven performed 3 songs at the event, and he sounded really good. This was a stadium of 40,000. Again, if you follow the bands or if you don't, I mean, it was in the news. They embarked on the beginning of their farewell Peace Out tour, which, of course, many people make the joke, by the way, that what number farewell tour is this? But I will be the first to tell you, Aerosmith never announced a farewell tour previously in their history. So they were doing this, you know, Steven was well into his 70s already, along with some other members of the band. So I don't think they were duping any of us fans. It was a very big announcement. I got to see the final show at UBS in Elmont, New York on Long Island. Steven apparently blows out his larynx, has a vocal injury, and the tour is scrapped. It's initially postponed to the following year, but it is after that postponement scrapped entirely, with the band announcing their retirement specifically from the live stage. So we'll talk about that at some point, but this all relates back to, as I'm saying right now, this project Youngblood. Steven came back onto the international and national scene with his performance at the Back to the Beginning show for Ozzy. It was definitely a highlight after Ozzy's passing. Youngblood, Steven, Joe, Nuno Betancourt from Extreme, they all did a tribute to Ozzy together. Aerosmith and Youngblood, they announced One More Time. That's the 5-track EP. So it's fitting, obviously, for Aerosmith, the announcement One More Time. I didn't have any music from them, any new music on my bingo board. Okay, I did not think these guys were getting back in a studio to record anything. Maybe they'd brushed off some B-sides and something from the vault and, you know, release another Pandora's Box or some other type of compilation. But obviously of songs that we haven't heard, not songs that we've heard. Because with this band, for those of you that may not know, there are too many compilation albums, I guess, to fulfill record contract obligations. Some of them are great, don't get me wrong. There's big ones, 1994 summary of the Geffen era material. That puts me on to Aerosmith. Like I said, I'm a younger fan, okay? I didn't say that, but I'm saying it now, letting you guys know. I'm in my 30s, so it's not necessarily my era, this music from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2009. I listen to big ones. I'm enthralled with that. I listen to other hits, and I'm just liking everything I hear. So I start going back. This is in the early days of Amazon before it's the behemoth that it is now. And I'm finding used Aerosmith CDs, good to very good condition for a few dollars, so I can add them to my collection because I'm a young teen. I don't have a lot of income, if any. I was finding any way to get my hands on this music so that I could put it on my stereo. So I collected everything, and it's great. Obviously, I've discovered a lot. But what really put me over the edge to the super fandom that you're going to discover that I have if you continue to listen to this show is when I saw them on the Cock Blocked and Ready to Rock tour in 2010. I saw them at Jones Beach. They had a big black curtain with the logo on it, and it was a curtain drop for that tour. You know, there are different ways that they've entered the stage, and we could even talk about stuff like that. We're going to get to so much on this show, but it was a curtain drop. They opened with toys. From then on, I was hooked. The entire show just had me hooked. It was the craziest thing that I'd ever seen. The chemistry of the 5 guys on stage, the sound that I was hearing with everything that they were doing, the different interactions, the yin and yang of Steven and Joe. After the Cock Blocked Ready to Rock tour, I proceeded to see them 9 more times. I was on meet and greets with the band 2 different occasions, 2 different tours. The most recent one being the Vegas residency, and that was quite a treat. I can do an episode just on the experience there. If you're a fan, very worth it. So my qualifications are, at this point, 16 years of hardcore fandom. I followed everything they do. every step, every interview. I've read all the books, and there's always more for me to learn. And that's what I love about them. Every time I listen to an album, I go back to a song, I go back to videos of a live performance. I read different things that they've said in interviews. I watch Howard Stern interviews. There, there's just an infinite amount of things in my eyes to be enamored by. So there's a reason that this band got as big as they did. Okay. And I'm not saying everything is great. Okay. That's probably impossible. But from a subjective standpoint, there's something I can pull from almost every era, every album that I think is worthwhile. And that's not true for me with all groups, as I'm sure it is for some of you. So, like I said, I want to keep this open to discussion with fans and people and anyone that wants to hear about this kind of stuff, rock and roll history, music history. Please listen. Please take this journey with me. This is a project of passion. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up here for this intro. I really appreciate you guys if you made it this far. And I just want you to understand how much this show is going to mean to me, even if one person gets something from it. So please take this journey, get your wings. This is Rob signing off. Okay. We're hopefully going to be here week to week with some new information, new content. We got to talk about one more time what's going to be on there and the outlook on that, the single that was released. There's a lot there. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next week.